Hey guys, I am Ash. This is Scoundrel. We're playing Etheria Restart. Thank you guys so much for clicking on the video. If you're a brand new player, please go ahead and support me and Scoundrel and this channel by using the download link. Re-download using our link. It supports us because this is a sponsored channel. That being said, we pride ourselves in giving our authentic and genuine opinion on everything, in terms of news, in terms of updates, and everything in between on Etheria Restart here. We've been playing mobile games for over a decade, maybe almost 20 years combined, and today, Scoundrel has traveled the world. He actually casted in China in terms of the Etheria Restart competitive scene, and he knows the game inside and out, and he's here to coach us through his beginner's guide for Etheria Restart. I am a 2.5-month player myself, so I do have that perspective of someone who just started out as well. Scoundrel, how you doing? Was that a pretty good intro?
Pretty good intro. Yeah,
right.
Happy with that. I think you've done a good job.
All right, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I feel good. I play a lot of Etheria. I played since the beta, so I've been going in this game for a while.
So I wanted to approach this guide from as if somebody's just watching this for the very first time. They don't know us, they don't know the game, and they're also not super familiar with the genre. So what are the absolute basics to know walking into Etheria Restart, maybe even before you log on? What are some, how would you describe the game?
I mean, the game is an anime hero collector.
Yes.
It is a turn-based sort of combat game. So if you've played games like Raid Shadow Legends, which I'm sure many of the people who are watching you probably have had some familiarity with Raid Shadow Legends, It plays very similarly to Raid Shadow Legends. You've got boss fights, you've got everything's based on a turn meter. That turn meter is based on certain stats, mostly speed that your character has. So it's like kind of all revolves around the idea of building characters with the right stats, with the right gear, to build teams that then are sort of specifically designed to tackle content in the game. A lot of that content requires very specific setup. So there's like a lot of strategy and team building. So if you like team building, if you like strategy, you love grinding for gear, for instance, like, you're always going to be searching for that next perfect gear upgrade in this game. Kind of game that I think you'll enjoy. Absolutely.
So basically the core loop of this game is you summon animuses, basically your heroes, your champions, whatever they're called in other games. They're called animuses. There's actually kind of a rich storyline in some lore already, even though this is a fairly new game. So a lot of people kind of get into that as well. But either way, you're summoning these characters, these animuses, you're building them, you're upgrading them, and then you're putting modules, which is what gear is called in this game, on your animuses, right? You can see everything here. If you go to details on any animus, you'll see their stats. You'll also, I'm going to make you a little bit smaller on the screen here. You'll be able to see not just their stats, but also all of their abilities and what they do. It's pretty intuitive, even if you don't know the game, you can read them and, they're going to do an AoE attack or whatever, right? So they usually have, 3 skills, sometimes a passive, sometimes just, 2 AoEs or basic skills or support or whatever. You have modules, which is your gear. You're going to keep improving your modules. You have your prowess, which are your skills, can be upgraded in this game as well. And then the final way to upgrade your animus is the shell. The shell is something that's very unique to this game, man. I've never seen anything quite like the shell, although I've seen like versions of it from other games. But not only do they give you a special ability, your shell, but they also give you stats and more stats, right? So so the core loop is you summon your animuses, and then to upgrade your animuses, you go to the challenge menu, and this top line are the core kind of dungeons in the game, right? The shell, the Grim Pursuit for shells, the modules, which is gear, the investigation which is experience, and the outpost, which is your skill upgrade material. You take it from here, Scoundrel. Where do you want it? Okay, so now that we've covered anything to add to the basic core loop, and then let's orient ourselves on what we should be doing in the very beginning of the game.
No, and I think what is worth pointing out from what you said is that, it's a game that there's always something to do. There's always some next step to take, and some sort of like, next level that you can take your characters to. So it's a game that you're never going to find that you perfect. And that's what I think people like about it. You're always going to be searching for that next little upgrade to push your character to the next level, or the fact that you can find something to auto farm. You get an auto farm team that takes that much longer to kind of find the perfect characters and gear for. So it's just a really, really cool game in that sense, that there's always something to search for and grind for. And actually, you don't need to take it super seriously. You can have downtime and still enjoy it. You can put time into it and still enjoy it. It can be enjoyed in quite a few different ways as well.
Absolutely, totally agree. I think in the very beginning of the game, if you don't know exactly what to do, obviously, like, you'll be thrown in this game, even though it's fairly new, it's less than a year old. there's a ton to do in the game, right? This game launched with a lot of features that took years in other titles in the genre to develop and release. So it can be a little daunting or overwhelming for new players out there, but I've always found, this is one of your first pieces of advice for me, and you can see I did not take it in the Animus Fate category here, but go to your hyperlink charter, right? If you don't know what to do, just always go there. It's right there on the screen, and it's going to give you tasks, and you just keep completing task after task after task, but it's going to be your compass in this game to just, drive you in the right direction, right, early on, and until you complete it, I guess, right?
Yeah, when you're a new player, you should start at these things, these hyperlink charter.
Yes.
You should start here because it generally tracks with your progress. Now, Tim, Ash, you didn't do this with Leanne, and you've probably missed out on a boatload of free lattices.
Indeed.
But yeah, you should, when you start the game, you should probably upgrade Leanne. Usually, as a new player, you get offered the ability to reset a character. And what most people do is they invest into Leanne and then they reset her later on.
Leanne is free, right, in the beginning?
Yes, okay. So Leanne is the first SSR that you get.
SSR is the highest rarity Animus, yeah.
It is, yeah. And she will carry you through the majority of the content in the game. She just drops off really hard later on. So she's sort of not a character that really kind of scales well, but she's great for the early to mid game.
Okay, so focus on Leanne as one of your main SSRs. It is important to note here that there's 3 rarities of Animuses in this game. The SSRs, which is the highest rarity, the SRs, which are in the middle, and the Rs, right, or the rares or whatever. I'm an old cat, man. I like legendaries, epics, and rares personally, but that's the version. But it is noteworthy here that, yeah, it's exciting to get an SSR, but they're also more resource intensive, so it's tougher, much more difficult to fully upgrade, especially when we get into the lattices, which are the skill up requirements material in this game. So it's not that you shouldn't invest in SSRs, but you should know, you don't want to spread yourself too thin in the early game, right?
Yeah. You get rewarded for building vertically in this game for a lot of reasons. Like you get rewarded for investing into certain characters, because even though this game makes it very easy to collect a wide breadth of characters, one of the things that I think I really like about Etheria is it's very free-to-play friendly. It's very easy to collect the heroes. If you're just like a collector and you want to collect everything, it's actually quite easy to do that.
Yeah, they're generous.
Yeah, they are very generous. But the sort of the drawback comes is that the real power is unlocked when you sort of invest vertically into a character through the prowess system that you're seeing on your screen at the moment. This prowess system upgrades the skills, gives them new abilities, unlocks sort of like extra stats, etc. Yeah. That's how you really make a character powerful. So when you get through the game, you're going to find that you have a limited amount of resources to invest in a character. You really want to choose the right characters to invest in, and you want to build them vertically. So you want to add more and more resources to your top performers, because there are certain characters that are just going to be strong through the whole game.
Great point, and we're going to provide 2 websites for you guys in the description as well. Hell Hades and Pridewind. Those are the 2 premier websites in terms of if you pull a lot, you're not going to know who anybody is or who's good and who's not. I would highly recommend you go to those websites. They have really nice reviews. They'll give you pros and cons and build suggestions and everything that you need to know to decide whether or not to invest in those Animuses. And also, I found like this little book option here on the UI. If you click on that on any Animus, I found that generally speaking, it's not bad advice. I don't know what you think, Excoundrel, but like the recommended partners, I don't know. I don't put too much stock personally into that. But in terms of the shell recommendations, as well as the module or the gear recommendations, I find that they're pretty accurate. What about you?
Yeah, I think the shell recommendations are there. I think the
Leon might be not the best example because it's so.
Yeah, I mean, because it was just for consider. If you want a free piece of advice, guys, Battle is potentially the worst set in the entire game. But most people are not going to be using that. You can see that a lot of people use Harvest. I mean, Harvest is quite a highly used set. So if you go to like Lilium or if you go to Messiah, you'll see that Harvest gets used quite a lot. The reason people like Harvest is it's very good at bursting through high HP, like targets that got a lot of HP already. So these are pretty good places to start. It's always a good place to take a look and see what people are using. Generally, if everybody's using the same kind of gear setup, it's probably the right gear setup for that character.
For sure.
So it's a great place to learn, 100%. It's also a great place to learn how to build comps for certain challenges in the game. This little book symbol exists on all of the bosses, for instance. So you can go and click on a boss and see what kinds of compositions we use to beat that boss. And that's a really good way for you to kind of just try and figure out the best way to get through. You can see they even have an OP usage, and you can show used animuses only. You can also click show auto only. I love auto. That basically tells you which comps are being used to just like clear through clear through as quickly as possible. That build there at the top is the same build that I'm using, the one that I accidentally told you about.
Yeah. I'm working on this right now myself.
The one that's being used. Yeah.
This is great, man. This is great. And this is like, to your point, they have this on every dungeon. This is so easy because you can click only animuses that you own, right? So you don't have to worry about recommendations that you can't even build. Not only that, but you can click on any of these animuses on any of these teams. It will show you exactly what gear, exactly what stats they have, right? Moreover, you can even watch every replay of teams that have cleared this content. So if you actually want to see, sometimes you can look at the stats. It's easier to see the turn order, who's going first, etc. You can watch replays, and you can even watch your own arena defense replays and stuff like that. This game, in terms of quality of life, this is a sponsored channel, but I'm telling you, there's nothing like the quality of life in this game.
Yeah, the quality of life in this game is really good. I mean, compared to games that I played in the past like this,
same.
They kind of learn a lot from titles previously, and I think they've just kind of from the very get-go have implemented some really cool quality of life stuff. Like the passive auto farming in this game is really good. The learning systems are really good. The summoning system is really amazing. So yeah, there's so much to learn from and so much to sort of do in Etheria. They also have these 2 times weekends. So a little tip: if you have if you go to your stability at the top, I mean, stability is the number one resource in this game. But you can see those little mental stabilizers there, the purple things. What you want to do is you want to bank those as much as you can, because they do these 2 times weekends every so often, and these 2 times weekends are just absolutely insane for generating gear or experience or even GP outpost materials. So like I tend to bank all of my mental stabilizers for stability refreshes until these 2 times weekends, and then just go ham with like 2,000 stability on a weekend and just farm as much as I can.
Agree. It's like, it's what, once a month, give or take, or maybe once every other month, but basically you can do double in the same amount of time that you normally would, right?
They said once every 4 to 6 weeks was their original chat about it. But I will say, I have a feeling that there's one this weekend, which would be really crazy. I mean, I saw it in chat. I don't know how true it was, but they'll be really crazy because I think we only had one 2 weeks ago. So they'll be doing, maybe it's due to the new launch. They're just throwing out a 2 times a weekend really early on. But yeah, it's cool. It's nice to have that option.
Let's go quickly around the horn here, and just I want to cover 2 more things in this guide. I want to cover Lian build. Like basically, this will give us a good opportunity to go through modules, what they are, etc., etc. And I also want to just quickly kind of go through the interface and talk about every little thing. So really quickly, I'm just going to go rapid fire here, Beck Scoundrel, but feel free to cut me off and tell me to shut up if there's something I'm missing here. But essentially, events, the game runs a million events all the time. The nice thing is, if you have an event that you have resources for, or that you have things that you can do for free, it will give you a little notification on there. So you can just click on it, do it, and then go back to the game. Hyperlink Charter, we already talked about. This is going to be your compass, what to do next in areas that you're going to get a lot of rewards. Shop, you have your paid stuff, and then you have the exchange shop, which is not your paid stuff. This is currency that you get from just being active in different areas of the game. Union is, you should join a union, by the way. Would you just join a union right away?
100%. Join any old union. You get access to so many resources just by being in the union. So definitely join a union pretty much straight away.
Summon shop, be careful with these because this currency is hard to get, I think. Arena shop.
It's such a weird shop, by the way. Like it's unbelievably hard to get currency for it. And everything in it is really expensive.
I know. I accidentally just bought something. I thought it was in the arena shop. I'm like, oh, and I just used some. But it's not the end of the world. But I agree with you. Like, I would only really recommend buying perfect lattices from the summon shop, personally.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I'd agree.
Arena shop, you have a summit arena and the regular arena. This I would be like super liberal with your spending. Buy everything if you want to, because as long as you're doing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then we have the anima shop. Do you have any recommendations on anima shop? I haven't bought anything, and I'm almost at enough to buy a premium.
Yeah, I mean, that is really interesting that you ask, because I actually bought, funnily enough, this is actually a beginner tip that's important. I bought Rilmoka from here. So if you don't know who Rilmoka is, she's an animus that is very specific for Doki Doki. So like Rilmoka is a DPS animus that's just specifically really good for Doki Doki.
Okay.
I bought her from this shop thinking that it would unlock the Animus. It doesn't.
It's just the dupe. It's just the Prowess.
It's literally just the dupe. So if you don't own the Animus, you will not get it. So don't think you're going to come here and be able to buy whatever Animus you want. You don't. I just got the dupe.
Good call.
But yeah, what I would do.
So I guess I'll buy Lily. I guess I'm almost there.
Yeah, but I think so. What I'll say, some Animuses benefit from dupes more than others.
Yep.
And so you should really go and look. Usually, the most impactful dupe threshold, apart from 5, is 2.
Yeah.
So you look at what the second dupe threshold is. For Lily, it's actually not that good. It's effect resist, not that interesting.
Yeah.
For someone like Yelly or for someone like Lilium, it's crit bait, which is really big deal. So Yelly and Lilium are definitely people that I would probably try and get to at least 2 dupes. And so in your shop you've got a Lilium there, but I think it refreshes, so I'd even be tempted to wait for a Yelly, given that you've invested into Yelly.
Indeed, 3 days. Yeah. So
so I'd maybe wait for a Yelly.
Plus 1,500, triple the price is a steep escalation versus your normal.
Yeah, but they're also I think they're also about triple the cost to summon. So they're sort of they're generally hard to get hold of anyway.
Constant in disorder. Well, we'll talk about the affinities in a bit here. Modules. This is your gear. You can have a gear shop, right? And this gear is like you can see the stats before you purchase. That being said, I don't think I've bought much on the select shop, but I have bought some randoms of gear that, frankly, like after maybe a couple weeks of playing, you'll understand what's good, what's not, and you'll understand what you have trouble getting access to at wherever you are in the game. So I bought a bunch of Fury gear and stuff, and I trashed the ones that I didn't like, and I kept the ones that I did. So anything to add on the module shop?
Yeah, in general, I wouldn't bother trying to buy module shop resources from paid spend packs. You can generate some for free over time, but realistically, you're gonna get more from actually just building a team that's gonna be able to complete those types of bosses and farm the game normally. So try not to go too ham on the module shop. But if you have the stuff for it and you see something pop up that's worth buying because the stats look great, absolutely. But you got to remember that if you buy it, even if the stats look great, you still have to go through the RNG of like upgrading it and seeing if you actually hit the right stat when you go through the upgrade. So it doesn't even guarantee that you're going to get a good piece,
True. Very true. All right, well, we have the skins, or the outfits rather. I'm just going to gloss over. Do you have anything to mention here? I mean, it's pretty self-intuitive. It's
pretty self-intuitive. I mean, there are some cool skins in the game.
Yep.
I think they should add more. I've always advocated for, bro, you need some like thirst trap anime skins, and people will buy them.
Indeed.
But there you go.
Summoning is where you summon. Pretty explanatory. They have these special banners, basically, where you can get a guaranteed animus after a certain amount of summons. We have a workstation is basically just the same, another UI basically.
Yeah, it's like a more complex UI.
Same thing with this.
It's like you could just press tab and go into the top right and get access to all this. Most people just go and press tab at the top right and get access to all of this.
Indeed. So
it's
same
just
thing with the Chaku
weird
ring.
ways of making it more complicated.
Yeah, so the Chaku ring and the workstation, you don't have to use them. It's not consequential. Union is what you should join right away. You have a union boss, kind of a union war. You have the daily check-ins, and you can also union assist, where you can basically request to get a fragment of a duplicate copy to upgrade the prowess of an animus here. So anything, and there's no penalty to donate to your union mate, so you should always just donate whatever you can whenever you have it. It's only helping you too.
And in 50 days, you get yourself a dupe. So if you request for 50 days in a row, you're going to get yourself a dupe for one of your characters, which can be very useful. So
Arena Realm is arena. They got like a live arena, summit arena, and a regular classic arena in Etheria. One thing to note is you can have totally different layouts for your animuses for PvP and PvE. So make sure you go ahead and either toggle that off or don't run naked for months on your animuses in the arena. You need to put the gear back on them. You should do arena in the basically from day one, right? Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. You get so many free rewards from doing arena. There's also like an arena battle pass in the, I believe they've reset it now, but it's in the I think it's the one. No, I think it's the one that they've reset in the Hyperlink Charter.
It's the Stellar Shop. But yes, you're right.
So there's an arena battle pass. Yeah, absolutely. Just get yourself involved and do arena. There's no downside. There's literally no downside to doing arena. Indeed.
Yeah, Summit Pass is all free stuff. I don't do a lot of live arena. I need to do more personally. Animus is where you go. Sorry, I have Ex-Scoundrel blocking it. Animus is where you go to see all your animuses, right? And Challenge is basically everything in terms of everything you can play in the game that's PvE, except for Union Boss will be there. And then really just to wrap things up, Stability is right up here. This is the currency that this game requires to engage in battle in all those dungeons, or most of the dungeons, right? For farming your gear and stuff. And these are the premium resources, these crystals. And all you should really be using your crystals for, unless you're an absolute whale and you want to use them for summoning and stuff like that, is to get more stability, right?
I would say 100%, if you're limited on crystal resources, only use them for stability, because it will get you the most benefit for your account.
Perfect. And the Etheria coin is what you're going to be spending to upgrade all your modules and such.
Absolutely. The Etheria coin is what you're going to use. And actually, little tip with that is that if you upgrade a module and you find that you don't like the stats that it's granted you, you can click a recycle button on it, and it makes it easy for you to then go to your inventory and recycle it. You get a good chunk of those coins back the more upgraded the piece is.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, actually, because I should have recycled a lot more in the early game. This menu can be pretty overwhelming, I feel like, for new players, when you go to the recycle menu. But I think to keep things super simple, and this is like a really good tip for all beginners out there, is like anything, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, anything epic, unique, rare, and worse, you're not going to be using it after a month anyway, like probably even less than that. So you can just recycle it.
Probably even after a week, if I'm honest with you. And once you've been around a month and a half, outstanding is going to become even not that relevant. So
look at all my stuff I need to trash soon.
Exactly. So
you do have 3,000 inventory, so like you don't have to sell it all immediately, but you're also you can get Etheria coin pretty quickly if you need it, by selling those stuff. Also, I don't know how detailed we should get here, but the number of sub attributes, we've never actually talked about this, Ex-Scoundrel, but you're the resident expert. But I would recommend basically selling everything 1 and 2 at some point, maybe after a month or so of playing. What do you think?
Yeah, so here's the flow chart that I go through in my mind, and especially if you're a new player. The most important attribute that you want to look at is the main attribute. And the mask is not relevant, but if you go to one of the modules, So the most important is the main attribute at the top. So for instance, Tim's showing you, actually showing you now defense bonus, right? Important for people like Lily. That's the most important attribute. Then after that, it's like what sub-attributes already exist on the item. And obviously for like a lot of your support, speed is going to be the most crucial. After that, it's like how many, to really perfect it, it's how many modules, substats already exist. You want, ideally, for perfect gear, to have 4. Because that means when you hit the 3-level upgrade breakpoint every time that you look to upgrade something, it will, instead of unlocking a new module, or there you go, like in this one, instead of unlocking a new substat, that will then upgrade an existing substat. And then it's the only way to start getting towards the purple and above, unless you get really lucky. It's the only way to start getting to the purple and above upgrade levels. Essentially that speed could be elevated to, I think it's like 15 if you get really unbelievably lucky.
Exactly.
So like you need a four piecer to get there. But when you're a new player, don't worry too much about that. The most important thing is making sure the top stat, the one that you can't change, is the one that is the right one for your character.
Absolutely. See how this is level 1, guys? Like, it's mythic, but it says level 1, but I still have all 4 substats. Whereas this one is also, I have 3. This one's also level 1, but I only have 3 substats. Now, I'll get that 4th substat, but it's going to take me a few upgrades to get it, right? Whereas if I go to one that already has 4, instead of getting that substat revealed, instead, I'm going to get a bonus to a stat that already exists. So if I'm working on 4 substats on a piece that already has 4 at level 1, I'm going to get those extra rolls on some of those substats. Modules, man. Might as well stay here for a second, right? And then I want to end, we'll talk about modules and shells really quickly. And then I want to end with, I want to go back to Leon. So modules, on the left-hand side, you're locked on stats, right? You can only have attack on the visor or whatever, HP on the...
HP and then defense.
And then on the ring is always going to be defense. So you're looking for substats. In this game, the most important substat is speed for basically almost all characters, right?
Yeah. For some DPS characters, it may actually be detrimental to have speed. The only reason being is you often want to get your characters in a certain order. Like, for instance, in like Terramaton or like one of the other bosses, you don't want, you ideally want to like set your debuffs and your buffs up before your character with the sort of damage takes its first attack. So in some situations, it can be detrimental to have speed on a DPS character, but for everybody else, speed is the most important stat.
Yeah, and for any DPS character, any nuker, any damage dealer, outside of dots, like damage over time, like casting spells and stuff, you need crit rate. And for any animus in this game that is doing something other than direct damage to the opponent, you need effect accuracy. Do you have like is there a rule of thumb, Scoundrel, in terms of how much effect accuracy you need as you progress on each animus?
It's interesting because the effect, it obviously kind of depends on what the natural effect accuracy, or like what the natural effect accuracy, because everyone has different levels of effect accuracy in terms of their own skills. Like some people, like for instance, who are doing freeze applications, their effect accuracy is naturally going to be very low because it's very hard to land the freeze. But if you're just doing like a debuff, like Kloss, her natural effect accuracy is pretty high, so you wouldn't need as much effect accuracy. But I would say in general, like if you're looking to have like a really late game effect accuracy, somewhere in like the sort of 150 to 200% range is usually pretty viable.
Okay.
Time Weave is a really good subset to have on, because Time Weave gives you effect accuracy as part of its skill set. But yeah, about 150 to 200% is a pretty good place to start for most people, taking into account that bosses have effect resistances and stuff like that.
And speaking of sets, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say that Swift Rush is probably the most important set in the game to understand and farm, right? In Doki Doki?
Yeah, and we're going to get onto that in a minute with the most important places to farm, but Swift Rush is going to be your bread and butter stat. Like that, Swift Rush is going to be universally applicable across pretty much 90% of your characters. It is the speed set, and because speed is, frankly, for the most part, the most important stat in the game, Swift Rush is the speed set, and it's the one that boosts your speed the most.
Yeah, and these two little boots on here that you're going to see them on every single module that you have here. Eventually, you're going to be looking for 3, ideally, of these little icons. But that's what gives you the bonus of these sets, right? So Swift Rush, for example, like you get a bonus at 4, 8, and then the ultimate bonus, which is at 35% speed, at the 12 set bonus. And when you might look at that and say, 12, I only have like 6 modules as a new player, right? But it's actually counting these icons total, right? And that was what dictates the set. So on the left-hand side, you can only have the same stats. On the right-hand side, that's where you can get the percentages, right? And those are the, I guess the more important. I mean, everything's important, but this is where you can really go hard on the stats that you need for a specific animus type.
Exactly. So the modules are going to be where you're really defining what your animus has. And so for like Leanne, it's I got to get her to 100% crit rate, and then anything else beyond that is critical strike damage. And that's for your DPS characters. That's gonna be the majority of what you do. You're gonna be balancing, you want as close to 100% crit rate as you can get. You then want to look for critical strike damage and a mix of attack boost as well. So you're just looking for something that sort of like mixes everything together. But yeah, most DPSs, like their most important stat is getting to 100% crit rate, because you want every single hit that you do wants to be a crit.
Exactly. So that's module kind of 101. Prowess, we talked about a bit in terms of getting these mats, right? We get those at the GP outpost. We talked about that in the challenges. But in terms of getting these things, these lattices, well, those are one of the more premier resources in the game. And you get those mainly through like quests and your missions and your hyperlink charter and stuff like that. It's not like you can farm these easily, but you can buy them routinely in the shop as well. Not just for real life money, but for currency from engaging in these areas that we've already spoken about. Never upgrade lattices or skills until you go to at least the website website in the early game, because I made a big mistake here, Excoundrel, and you kind of warned me too, and I still made the mistake, and so did my viewers. But you don't intuitively, I'm coming from a game where the last ability is usually the most important. Like skill 3 is inherently the best on most characters in like Raid, for example. But oftentimes in this game, I would say even more often than not, it's the first skill that's the most important. You can also, on a lot of animuses, you can get speed. I'm trying to find one here, but you can get speed off of the actual like upgrades. See, like plus 8 speed, plus 4 speed, and speed is everything in this game. So
yeah, and frankly, like it really depends on the animus and their skills and what the upgrades are. And like you mentioned, Ash, go to a website if you're worried about it and have a think and have a look at what they suggest. Pride Wind's pretty good at this. They'll suggest the pathway that you should look for in terms of upgrading your skills. So absolutely, and as you mentioned, it's not always going to be the ultimate. Even though the ultimate is usually like the people's most impactful skill, the upgrades might not be as impactful for that particular skill.
Absolutely. So that's prowess for the most part there. And then shells. Shells have their own dungeon, which you farm, and they have their own currency to upgrade them, the training data as well. I feel like shells are pretty intuitive, but TLDR, we already talked about it. They give you not just an ability per shell, but they also give you stat bonuses, like we just spoke about, that count towards your modules in addition to what you have on your modules. And they give you stats by upgrading them. They get higher just from the like shell stats get applied to your animus. So you really want a shell on every single animus. And frankly, I think that shells are pretty easy to upgrade, man. Like, I don't know about you, but like they're not, it's not much of a grind.
They are, and they're also one of the biggest sources of extra speed for your animuses as well. So I think one of the things that people often forget is if they haven't upgraded their shell to the max, they're actually not getting the maximum amount of speed that you can get. And as you can see, they also come with their unique passive effects that you can re-roll to get into a point where, they're sort of like giving you a lot. I mean, I think right here you can see, I think she's on Infonio, she's got increased surge. I mean, you've got 1200 HP, but I think the percentage is better.
I think so too, Generally, by the way, good time to point out that generally percentage is better than flat stat in most situations. Yeah, absolutely.
But you have got like the red shadow dash, which is like the best speed roll in the game.
Indeed.
So, you're doing
really
pretty well in that sense.
Oh, there we go.
God, you got an upgrade. You got an upgrade. There you go.
And you can just keep overwriting it and just keep reconfiguring. It's really nice.
Yes, I will say the reconfigure chips, the ones, the sort of the second resource that you can see there at the bottom. If you click abandon, that's the one that's more difficult to come by. The reconfigure chips. They have recently made it more easily accessible, but it's the one that's gonna really, again, for min-maxing, that's the resource that's gonna hold you back from min-maxing. But shells are really interesting. Like you mentioned right at the start, Ash, they're a very unique way to add to the game. They come with their own abilities. They can complement your animus's abilities in weird and wonderful ways. And they have their own farming dungeons, which you can see. We talked a little bit about Doki Doki being the most important threshold to focus on. At the start of the game, kind of, people say that Nico Nana really should be your focus. The reason being is that White Fang's a pretty good standard DPS animus. Artisan is a really important PvE animus. It just increases defense and gives you a massive shield. Gigabyte is a pretty strong all-round support animus. And just because Nico Nana is the easiest boss to kind of beat. So yeah.
Well, there you go. So Nico Nana in shell farming and grid pursuit is a great place to spend some of your stability. And in Threshold, like we already said, Doki Doki is going to be a great dungeon. When should players start working on Aurora or on Terra? How much of their time should be going into Doki Doki farming? 75% and then 25 split amongst the other two, or what would you recommend?
I mean, at the start of the game, 100% Doki Doki until you've got a really, really good wealth of speed gear, and then Terramaton after that, because Terramaton has some important DPS stuff like Fury Edge. So you get Fury Edge, that you can see the that sort of really, when you unlock Inferno bosses, you get the specialized cores, which you can only have one of per animus. And you get Fury Edge from Terramaton. So Fury Edge is really good, and Aurora is actually one of the hardest to do. And actually, she offers more specialized gear that is sort of more late game orientated that you don't need to worry too much about. especially as a new player. So really, you want to be going Doki Doki into Terramaton, and sort of Aurora is sort of down the line a little bit.
Okay, great. And it's really nice. This game basically will unlock these dungeons in Grim Pursuit as you progress, just based on your level. So it's not like you're going to be having to choose between all of these. You're just going to start out with just Jockus or whatever, isn't it? Jocks.
Yeah,
and then just go from there. So anything else that we should mention here? I feel like we've covered a lot here, you know?
Yeah, covered a lot. I mean, I will say, like, you can see the events here. You do as much of it as you can. There are a lot of rewards for these events, especially on like the Ember Trek, the Anti-Sync Echoes, the Ethernet Rally. I will say it's like a bit content overload at times. There's a lot going on, but if you put the time into it, there's a lot of rewards to be had. I actually didn't realize how many rewards I was missing out on by this. Ash's got 60 spins of this thing.
It's because I just auto did it. Once
so
you
this is like,
it resets every month, and then you can auto do the whole thing, which is fantastic on normal difficulty.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, this is going to be, I mean, 60 rolls worth of this is going to take you ages.
I know, right? Yeah, we'd be here all day. We'd be here all day.
But there's loads and loads of that's going to give you loads of resources. So yeah, just there's a lot of important stuff to pick up on here in that second row, and just make sure you're doing as much as you can on a daily basis, and you'll progress really quickly.
Indeed. I think it's worth noting too that, like, obviously just doing the main storyline is going to be something that you're going to be doing in the beginning. It's probably intuitive, but it bears, you know, mentioning.
Yes.
And it's kind of like it's interesting in this game. Like, obviously you're all going to witness it within, you know, a minute or two, but it actually goes into kind of like this, I don't know, kind of like FPS type third person point of view, where you can kind of control your character, you can ambush characters, and if you guys are into that, then you'll really enjoy that as well. Same thing with the Ember Track. All right, guys, that's it. Excoundrel, thank you so much, man, again, for all your wisdom here. And I wish I had a video like this, going a little bit more in depth on everything when I started out. So hopefully it helps you guys out as well. Wanted to thank Etheria again for sponsoring this channel. And hey, again, download link. It helps us out if you guys care to re-download, or if you haven't downloaded yet, go ahead and use that in the description below. And last but not least, certainly you should check out Excoundrel's YouTube channel as well, where he also uploads a lot of Etheria content starting about tomorrow. So you can check that out in the description below. Excoundrel, thanks again for coming on, man. Always a pleasure.
See you in a bit, dude.
All right, take care, guys.